Ever wonder what our planet looked like before towering dinosaurs roamed the Earth? Forget Jurassic Park for a moment. This isn't about T-Rexes and velociraptors. We're going way, way back. We're talking hundreds of millions of years before those giant reptiles even existed. Sounds crazy, right? Prepare to unearth the deep, deep past. Imagine Earth blanketed by bizarre forests, unlike anything you've ever seen. Picture giant insects buzzing through the air and seas teeming with strange, armored creatures. This isn't science fiction. It's a glimpse into our planet's pre-dinosaur days. It's a world where life was experimenting, evolving in fantastical directions. Why should you care? Because understanding this ancient world gives us crucial clues about how life on Earth evolved and how our planet became the way it is today. It's a story of resilience, adaptation, and the constant dance of life and death. Learning about these prehistoric eras helps us understand present-day ecology and even predict future environmental changes too. Pretty relevant, right? So, what exactly did Earth look like before the dinosaurs? Let's hop in our time machine. Our journey starts in the Paleozoic era, a vast expanse of time spanning from about 541 million years ago to 252 million years ago. Think of it as the so. What did Earth look like before the dinosaurs? It's wild to imagine a world so different, right? The Paleozoic era stretches back so far, it's hard to fathom how alien it would appear to us. Imagine stepping into a landscape where plants are strange. Forget the trees, you know. We're talking giant mushrooms, towering fungi that make you feel like you've shrunk. These weren't your average toadstools, they were prototaxids, bizarre organisms that dominated the land before trees even existed like we know them. That's just the start, though. Picture bizarre forests of primitive plants, unlike anything living today. Giant ferns formed dense carpets, and towering lycophytes, relatives of modern club mosses, pierced the sky. No flowers, though, no colorful blooms. All green, very, very green. It would be like another planet to us. Even stranger than the plants, the bugs were huge, seriously. Dragonflies with 2-foot wingspans buzzed overhead. Scorpions the size of dogs scuttled through the undergrowth. The high oxygen levels back then allowed insects to grow to enormous sizes. Can you imagine walking through a forest the size of a park and seeing a scorpion as big as your dog walking by? And in the oceans, armored fish swam alongside bizarre shelled creatures. Trilobites, distant relatives of spiders and crabs, scoured the seabed. Some fish developed jaws, becoming fearsome predators. It was an evolutionary arms race happening right before our eyes, eventually giving the rise to all animals we know today. It wasn't precisely a paradise, but life was trying things out, experimenting. This era set the stage, piece by piece, for the world of dinosaurs, and eventually for us. So understanding this ancient Earth isn't just about cool facts, it's about grasping how we got here. Think of this period of Earth's history as the messy, experimental version which created the final, beautifully curated version we know and mostly love today. That messy, experimental version of Earth we just explored, it directly set the stage for something monumental, something so big, it literally shaped our planet. We're talking about Pangaea, all the continents jammed together like puzzle pieces. That sounds crazy, right? Imagine Earth without the familiar shapes of the continents we know. No Europe, no Americas, just one gigantic supercontinent. This wasn't just a bigger landmass, it was a whole different world. Forget thinking about vacations to other continents. You could walk to them. So how did this happen? Well, Earth's crust is broken into massive plates that are constantly moving, super slowly, of course. Think of it like a cosmic dance, taking millions of years for a single step. Over vast stretches of time, these plates bumped into each other, squishing all the land masses together. What a sight that must have been. This supercontinent, Pangaea, wasn't just a geographical feature. It drastically influenced everything: climate, ocean currents, and the distribution of life. Picture a single massive desert in the interior, shielded from the moist ocean air. Coastlines would have experienced drastically different weather patterns than they do today. And here's the kicker: Pangaea's existence profoundly impacted the evolution of life. Organisms could spread across the entire landmass. When Pangaea eventually broke apart, these populations were isolated, leading to new and unique species on each separate continent. It's like taking one big pot of soup and dividing it into smaller bowls. Each one develops its own distinct flavor. But this isn't just ancient history trivia. The legacy of Pangaea echoes even today. We see its effects in the distribution of fossils, the similarities in rock formations across continents, and even in the shapes of our coastlines. Pangaea wasn't a static, unchanging thing. It shifted and morphed over millions of years, but understanding its basic form gives us crucial insights into the world to come. And later on, we learn that what comes up must come down. Continents that smash together will eventually move toward dramatic change and ultimately separate. And later on, we learn that what comes up must come down. Continents that smash together will eventually move toward dramatic change and ultimately separate. But before these giants roamed, what was life really like? Forget Jurassic Park for a minute. We're diving way back, before dinosaurs were even a twinkle in evolution's eye. Think of it as Earth's opening act. Imagine a world painted in simpler hues. Gone are the vibrant, flowering plants we know. Instead, picture landscapes dominated by ferns, mosses, and towering primitive trees. These weren't your oak or maple trees. We're talking about plants like giant horsetails and club mosses, forming vast, swampy forests. It's a green world, but different. Now, what about the animals? No T-Rexes, obviously. The land was populated by bizarre creatures, many of which you wouldn't recognize. Early reptiles, amphibians that looked like armored salamanders, and strange insect-like critters scurried around. There were no birds singing in the trees, not because they weren't there, but because, well, they simply didn't exist. This era belonged to the arthropods. Insects were large. Scorpions, millipedes, and spiders grew to enormous sizes, kind of like your worst nightmare. Ocean life was equally peculiar. No majestic whales or playful dolphins sliced through the waves. Instead, the seas teemed with trilobites, imagine armored sea bugs, early fish, many of them jawless, and other bizarre invertebrates. Graptolites, colonial animals that looked like tiny saw blades, drifted through the water, filtering food. And let us talk about the first coral reefs, built not by the corals we know today, but by different organisms. These creatures were the pioneers, the first experiment in complex life on our planet. The real game changer, however, was the oxygen level in the atmosphere. Imagine if you had to breathe air with a different composition. Some scientists believe the atmosphere had significantly less oxygen than today, affecting the size and activity of early animals. It meant a slower pace of life, generally smaller creatures, except for those giant bugs apparently, and a very different kind of ecosystem. Later, the oxygen levels began to rise. The stage would be set for new chapters in Earth's history, a chapter dominated by even bigger creatures. So how the Age of Dinosaurs was initiated? Be ready. So where were we? Ah yes, giant bugs and low oxygen. Then things started to change. It's not like one day the Earth woke up and said, "Okay, dinosaurs." No, it was a slow burn, a series of major geological events that reshaped the planet. Think of it like this. Earth was a messy teenager's room, and these events were the mom coming in to clean things up, dramatically. These weren't small changes either. We're talking about continental shifts, volcanic eruptions that make your backyard barbecue look like a tea party, and dramatic climate swings. All of these events had a huge role in setting the stage for the dinosaurs. First up, plate tectonics. Remember Pangaea, that supercontinent where all the land was smooshed together? Over millions of years, it started to break apart. This wasn't a gentle separation. Imagine ripping apart a giant sheet of paper. That's continents drifting. This drifting changed ocean currents, created new mountain ranges, and basically replumbed the whole planet. Picture this like rearranging furniture in your house, but the furniture is the size of continents, and the house is Earth. The creation of new land masses and oceans created all kind of new isolated environments where species could evolve in their own unique ways. Second key player, volcanism. Forget the gentle volcanoes you see in documentaries. We're talking about massive volcanic eruptions that lasted for centuries. These eruptions pumped tons of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, changing the climate drastically. The atmosphere changed from low oxygen to more oxygen thanks to these volcanic events. This is super important. Why? Because higher oxygen levels meant bigger animals could evolve. It's that simple. Think of it like giving the Earth a shot of adrenaline. And finally, climate change. The Earth's climate fluctuated wildly during this period, from ice ages to super hot periods. It is important to understand that the Earth is constantly evolving and changing with or without mankind being here, and that is precisely what happens here. These changes put enormous stress on existing species, causing many to go extinct. Mass extinctions are nature's way of hitting the reset button, clearing the way for new species to rise. It's brutal, but it's effective. This constant change that the world dealt with in this time period is what made the dinosaurs roam the world. So the dinosaurs now roam the Earth. But what was the Earth like for them? We're talking climate and weather, and it was way different than today. Forget checking your weather app, things were wild. Imagine Earth without any ice caps. Sounds kind of nice, right? But picture this, sea levels hundreds of feet higher than they are now. Coastal cities, gone. Think of Florida. Underwater. What happens to our concept of beachfront property? During much of the Mesozoic era, the world was significantly warmer. This is because of higher concentrations of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, big-time volcanism, and different continental positions. There weren't really any permanent ice sheets covering the poles like we've got today. No polar bears, no penguins, no ice fishing. And it wasn't just a little warmer. We're talking about average temperatures that could be 10 to 15 degrees Celsius, higher than today. That's a huge difference. Picture swapping your winter coat for a t-shirt all year round. Now, this didn't mean that every single place was a tropical paradise all the time, but the temperature difference between the equator and the poles was much smaller. This resulted in much different weather patterns across the globe. What kind of weather are we talking here? Well, rainfall patterns were very different. Some areas that are deserts today were lush and green. Other areas that are typically wet were arid. Monsoons could have been more intense, especially near the coasts of the supercontinents. Coastal areas experienced frequent and intense storms, much unlike anything we have nowadays. It's suspected that these storms could have been incredibly destructive. Think of modern-day hurricanes, but bigger and more frequent. Now, here's a crucial detail. These weren't stable conditions. The climate fluctuated. Sometimes it was hotter, sometimes cooler. There were periods of intense volcanism that pumped even more greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, leading to rapid warming. There were also periods where carbon dioxide levels dropped, leading to cooler temperatures and shifts in vegetation. These changes put stress on ecosystems and drove further evolution. All of this affected the evolution and distribution of life. Plants and animals had to adapt to these warmer temperatures, different rainfall patterns, and more extreme weather events. Dinosaurs, for example, evolved to thrive in these conditions. Their size, metabolism, and even their skin were all influenced by the climate they lived in. So, the stage was set for life to evolve, thrive, and die. The question is, how do these conditions allow such massive animals to dominate Earth? Well, that question can be answered by looking at what these super reptiles were munching on. So these plant-munching dinosaurs were eating so all these massive dinos could survive. Now, let's zoom out, way out, to see an even bigger picture. Continents colliding and drifting apart in an endless dance. It's called the supercontinent cycle. Think of it as the Earth's slow, rhythmic breathing. Imagine Earth billions of years ago. The continents weren't scattered like they are today. They were smooshed together into one giant landmass called a supercontinent. One of the most well-known was Pangaea, but many others came before, like Rodinia and Nuna. These weren't permanent structures. No, forces deep within the Earth were already at work, setting the stage for these giants to meet their doom. What forces? Well, picture a pot of boiling water. The heat isn't even, right? Some spots are hotter than others. It's the same inside Earth's mantle. Hotter areas rise, cooler areas sink. This convection acts like a slow-motion conveyor belt, pushing and pulling on the Earth's crust, the very ground we stand on. This is plate tectonics, but on a grand supercontinental scale. Over millions of years, this slow dance has dramatic consequences. The supercontinent begins to crack. Volcanoes erupt along the rift zones. Eventually, the landmass splits apart, creating new oceans and scattering the continents. This changes everything. Ocean currents shift, climates change, and new habitats are born. Now each continent starts its own journey, drifting across the globe. Mountain ranges form where continents collide and grind together. New species evolve in isolation, adapting to their new environments. This is how our planet is reshaped in a constant cycle of change. Continents bash into one another for millions of years, forming another supercontinent. And then the whole process starts again. Also, it's a slow cooker, and it also drives evolution. When continents collide, species compete in newly shared territory. When continents split, they adapt to new climate and food sources. It is a beautiful planet, isn't it? It also drives the carbon cycle, with impacts to what animals can thrive. What does this supercontinent cycle mean for the Age of Dinosaurs? Well, that's where our story gets even more interesting, because climate and geography affect a species' survival. So what happens when the world reshapes itself? So how do we know what Earth was like before dinosaurs roamed? Think of it like this. Earth is a giant book and rocks are its pages. Geologists, like detectives, read those pages. That's how they piece together the story. It's not easy, though. Imagine trying to understand a story when pages ripped out, scribbled on, and rearranged. One of the biggest clues: fossils. We find fossilized plants and animals in those rock layers. It's like finding old photos. The deeper the layer, the older the fossil. Simple, right? Not always. Figuring out exactly how old these fossils are is a puzzle itself. That's where radiometric dating comes in. Certain elements decay over time at a known rate. That's the key. By measuring how much of these elements are left in a rock sample, scientists can figure out how long ago that rock formed. This has a huge impact. It's like having a clock that goes back billions of years. But there's more. The type of rock itself tells a story. Sedimentary rocks, for instance, form from layers of sediment. Igneous rocks come from volcanoes. By studying them, scientists understand much better what the prehistoric conditions were, like the ancient levels of oxygen in the air, and how far the light was able to penetrate into the oceans. The location of rocks also matters. If we find similar rock formations on different continents, it suggests those continents were once connected. This idea of supercontinents is fundamental, which, as we mentioned, is like the Earth breathing in and out. Amazing, isn't it? These puzzle pieces create a much richer picture. But it's not perfect. There are gaps in the fossil record. Some rocks have been destroyed by erosion or plate tectonics. It's like missing chapters in our Earth book. It's frustrating. Scientists are always developing new techniques and finding new evidence, so the picture is becoming clearer all the time. What new secrets will they discover next? So, rocks tell stories, fossils are clues. What does any of this old stuff have to do with us? Why should you care about what the Earth looked like millions, even billions, of years ago? It's not just about dinosaurs, folks. This is bigger. Think of Earth's history as a really, really long experiment. An experiment that's still going on. We're living in one tiny moment of it. Those ancient rocks, they're the lab notes. They show us what worked, what didn't, and what crazy stuff happened along the way. What if I told you the secrets to predicting the future are buried in the past? It sounds like something out of a movie, right? Well, it's true. Understanding Earth's past climates, for example, gives us vital clues about our current climate crisis. See, we're not just changing things now. Earth has changed itself many times, sometimes quickly. What caused those changes? How did life survive? The answers are in those rocks. Imagine trying to build a house without knowing anything about foundations, materials, or weather. That's what we're doing if we ignore Earth's history. We're building our future on shaky ground. Now let's get specific. We can learn about past sea levels. Crucial, right? Coastal cities now are at risk. We can study ancient ecosystems. This is a goldmine for understanding biodiversity and resilience. Imagine studying a forest which survives an ice age. How could that knowledge alter agriculture and conservation today? That's the power of the past. Here's the kicker. The Earth will keep changing, with or without us. Asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions, ice ages. They've all happened before. They will happen again. Knowing what happened before, how life responded, is the best preparation we can have. Are we destined to repeat devastating mistakes from the past, or can we learn from them? The choice is ours. The past isn't just dusty old rocks and fossils. It's a toolbox, a guide. It's a matter of survival. It's about equipping ourselves with the knowledge to thrive no matter what the future throws at us. Earth's deep history is a treasure trove waiting to be unlocked. Let's start digging. So we've traveled back in time, way before dinosaurs roamed the Earth. We dug through layers of rock and learned about ancient climates, weird creatures, and massive changes our planet has gone through. From snowball Earth to the rise of complex life, it's been one wild ride. The key takeaway? Earth is always changing, and those changes impact everything. But there's a very real reason this exploration matters to you, to me, to everyone alive today. It's more than just cool facts about bizarre bugs and crazy climates. Let's imagine for a second a future where we've successfully navigated the climate crisis. A future powered by clean energy, where ecosystems are thriving and humans are living in harmony with nature. That future isn't a fantasy. It's a goal we can reach, but only if we understand the lessons Earth's past is trying to teach us. That's why I'm excited to encourage you to take a simple but powerful step. Smash that subscribe button right now. Why? Because by subscribing to Global Geo Insights, you are literally plugging yourself into a learning journey. You'll get notified the second our next video drops, giving you front row seats to the newest discoveries and insights about our planet's past, present, and future. Think of it as a free masterclass in planetary survival. And here's a special bonus. The first 50 subscribers will get a shout-out in our next video, giving you the chance to share your own thoughts on what you've learned so far. Don't miss out. This offer expires within 24 hours, prompting immediate action. But don't stop there. Learning is a team sport. Do me a favor. In the comments below, share one thing that surprised you most about Earth's pre-dinosaur history. What fact made your jaw drop? What creature blew your mind? Your answers will help spark conversations and inspire others to dive into the world of geology and paleontology, while also giving us direct insights to tailor future content specifically for you. Here's something I've been itching to tell you too. So what's next on our expedition? I'm incredibly excited to give you a sneak peek at our next video, because if you thought the pre-dinosaur world was wild, wait until you see what happened after the dinosaurs went extinct. We're talking mega mammals, dramatic climate swings, and the rise of us. In the next video, I'll be revealing the shocking reason why mammals, including humans, were able to thrive after the dinosaurs disappeared. It's a story of survival, adaptation, and a little bit of luck. Get ready for a complete makeover of what you believe about your origins. Earth's story stretches back billions of years, and every chapter is filled with lessons we can use today. Remember, understanding the past is not just about knowing what happened, it's about paving the way for a better future. So keep exploring, keep learning, and never stop being curious about the amazing planet we call home. So we know rocks tell us about Earth's history. Big deal, right? Actually, it's a huge deal. Think of rocks as Earth's diary. They write down everything from the weather to major disasters. We just need to learn how to read it. And like any good diary, the older it is, the more secrets it holds. Now let's talk about how rocks actually do this. It's not like a rock has a pen and paper. Instead, it's all about what the rock is made of. Different elements are like different ingredients in a cake. By looking at the recipe, or in this case the rock's elements, we can see what the Earth was like when that rock formed. For example, if a rock has a lot of a certain type of element that loves water, chances are that rock formed underwater. Pretty cool, huh? But studying rocks isn't always sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes the story they tell is downright scary. Imagine, for example, a giant asteroid hitting Earth. It's not just a movie scene, it really happened, and the rocks tell us exactly when and how bad it was. We can see layers of ash and dust that settled after the impact. We can even find tiny, shocked quartz crystals, which are like little witnesses that saw the asteroid's fury. This evidence helps us understand the damage it caused and how life on Earth changed because of it. So, by studying these past catastrophes, we can be better prepared for any future cosmic surprises. Let's dive deeper into climate change, for instance. Rocks help us understand past warming and cooling trends, long before humans were burning fossil fuels. Tiny bubbles of ancient air trapped in ice or rock can reveal the amount of greenhouse gases present millions of years ago. This data can be compared to current greenhouse gas levels, highlighting how drastically humans are impacting the climate today. It's like having a historical record of Earth's temperature that puts current warming trends into perspective. The rate of change today is much faster than almost anything seen in the geologic record, proving this is not just a natural cycle. Speaking of ice ages, rocks also tell us about them. Glaciers are powerful forces that carve landscapes and leave behind unique rock formations, like grooves on bedrock and piles of sediment called moraines. By studying these features, we can determine when and where glaciers existed in the past. Knowing about past ice ages helps us understand how the Earth's climate can change dramatically over long periods of time. It shows that even small changes in Earth's orbit or atmosphere can trigger major shifts in global temperatures. And perhaps more importantly, it gives us clues about how life managed to survive those extreme conditions. One of the most exciting areas of rock study is finding fossils. Fossils are like snapshots of ancient life, preserved in stone. They can tell us about everything from the size and shape of dinosaurs to the types of plants that grew millions of years ago. Paleontology, the study of fossils, helps us understand how life has evolved on Earth and how different species are related to each other. Some fossils even provide clues about the behavior of ancient animals, like how they hunted, ate or cared for their young. Fossilized footprints, for example, can reveal how fast a dinosaur could run or whether it traveled in herds. Now, you might be thinking, all this talk about rocks is interesting, but what does it have to do with me? Well, understanding Earth's past is key to protecting our future. For example, by studying how past ecosystems responded to climate change, we can learn how to protect our current ecosystems from the impacts of global warming. We can also use this knowledge to develop new technologies and strategies for mitigating climate change, such as carbon capture and storage. Learning about ancient sea levels, for instance, really matters today. Rocks along coastlines can show us where the sea used to be. This helps us predict how rising sea levels might affect coastal communities in the future. Imagine seeing clear evidence of ancient shorelines much higher than today's sea level. That paints a clear picture of the potential impact of rising sea levels on current coastlines. We can then use this information to plan for coastal flooding, protect vulnerable communities, and even relocate infrastructure if necessary. Beyond climate change, Earth's history also helps us understand biodiversity. Rocks contain evidence about past biodiversity crises, such as mass extinctions, which wiped out large numbers of species in a short period of time. By studying these events, we can learn what factors contributed to the extinctions and how ecosystems recovered afterward. This knowledge is crucial for preventing another mass extinction and protecting the biodiversity we have today. Think about the end Permian extinction, also known as the Great Dying. Scientists believe a massive volcanic eruption caused drastic climate change, leading to the extinction of over 90% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial species. By studying the rocks from that period, we can learn about the specific conditions that led to the extinction and how the survivors were able to adapt. This information can help us identify species that are particularly vulnerable to current environmental changes and develop strategies to protect them. So, next time you see a rock, remember that it's not just a boring piece of stone. It's a time capsule full of valuable information about our planet's past. By studying rocks, we can learn about climate change, sea level rise, biodiversity loss, and other important environmental issues. This knowledge is essential for building a sustainable future and ensuring the survival of our species. Earth's diary is open. Let's read it carefully and learn from its wisdom. Remember, the Earth speaks if you know how to listen.